What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the 5th installment, I think, of Zach's movie reviews. Bring it in. So, tonight I am watching a movie called True Romance. This film came out in 1993 and is labeled as a crime romance. This was directed by Tony Scott and written by Quentin Tarantino, so you already know we're in for a banger. It stars Christian Slater and Patricia Arquette. I did a little search up and I found that this movie is yet again stacked. You got Christopher Walken, Gary Oldman, Brad Pitt, Val Kilmer, which makes me think this next 2 hours is gonna be me watching iconic actors showing up and swinging for the fences. I don't really know what the plot is about, besides the fact that there's probably some crime and some love, and probably some bad decisions. What I'm really hoping for after watching this movie is a true sense of connection. I do hope these two love interests really care about each other and it's them versus the world. I want to see a little bit of a story develop with maybe some kooky characters along the way. Now, obviously, nothing can compare to Adam Sandler going to Africa in the film Blended. Rhino! Now that is peak cinema. There's giraffes, there's lions, awkward family bonding, true emotional depth. But I'm willing to bet that True Romance is gonna compete in a separate way. Maybe fewer safari animals and a couple more guns. Now, while my grading might be a little bit different of this movie, I will still go into it optimistic. A stylish 90s crime romance with a star-studded lineup? It won't be bad, it won't be bad. For this rating, we're gonna do something a little bit different because I've got some feedback that my grading system is a bit confusing. So I'm gonna be grading this film off of 3 things and taking an average at the end to get a more true score. First, most important, character development. Do we see these characters actually go anywhere? Do they have a story? Do they have something they work towards? Do they fall down and get back up? The second thing I'll be grading is cinematography. How well does the movie encapsulate the feeling of the characters? And the final thing I'll be grading on is the dialogue. Was it phoned in, or is it something original and a little classy? Anyways, that's enough for me. Let's get into True Romance, and see you then. Now, if you don't have your popcorn or your soda, I would recommend getting it now because I'm about to yap. And before you say, Zach, why are you in an abandoned industrial complex? To that I say, why are you not in an abandoned industrial complex? All right, seriously, I'm gonna be switching scenes here, but I just thought this was cool and wanted you guys to see it, so. I just finished True Romance and I wanna start by saying it's not what I expected. I went in thinking I was gonna get some cool 90s crime movie. You know, some stylish violence, sick dialogue, and a couple of pretty attractive people. What I didn't expect was to fall in love with 2 characters who objectively make terrible life decisions. And yet, here we are. This movie somehow made me root for a guy who accidentally steals cocaine and then, with a bold relationship move, decides to drive across the country with said cocaine. On paper, the story is pretty simple. Guy falls in love, guy kills a pimp, guy accidentally takes a suitcase full of drugs, and things spiral. But what makes it work is not the complexity, it's the emotion. This is a love story and it's not about drugs or crime. It's about 2 people who believe in loving each other so much that they're willing to risk everything for it. Kinda like Blended. My favorite scene in the whole movie is the final shootout. It's super chaotic, it's super loud, and it's very fast. But what I liked about it most was the quiet moment when Clarence gets shot and Alabama's holding him crying over his body. That was the gut punch. It felt real, it slowed down, and the pacing was perfect. I was watching this movie in my apartment screaming, "Wake up, Clarence! Wake up, Clarence!" I did not expect to feel this invested in a movie that starts with a guy watching Kung Fu eating blueberry pie. Story, 9 out of 10. The conversations in this movie feel sharp and genuine. Now, I've never killed a drug dealer with my bare hands and smuggled drugs that weren't mine, but a man can dream. I do like the writing. Clarence's character is well thought through. I mean, he talks like he grew up watching movies being a weird kid, which he was. Alabama talks so sincerely that even the most crazy situations seem pretty grounded. And then you have the interrogation scene with Christopher Walken, and I mean, that scene alone is a masterclass in tension. It's literally just two guys talking, and for some reason it feels more tense than some of the shootout scenes. What I like most about the writing is that it takes the love story seriously. It doesn't make fun of it, it doesn't undercut it with irony. The romance is real, the violence is real, and the movie commits to both. Writing, 8 out of 10. I felt like all of the characters in this movie felt real. Even the side characters who show up for 1 or 2 scenes. Nobody feels random. It feels like every person has a deep story, like we could maybe make a spin-off about them. But the true diamond in the rough was Alabama. I've never heard of Patricia Arquette before watching this movie, and I'm a fan. Her character starts off super bubbly and smiley and happy, to where I thought she was just going to be the supportive girlfriend role. And then as the movie progresses, we see that there's a little something underneath. I think the motel scene with James Gandolfini really cemented my opinion on Patricia Arquette. The fight is brutal, but after seeing her stab a wine opener into James Gandolfini's foot, I changed my tune a little bit. And by the end of the movie, when they're on the beach, she never loses that happiness and that bubbliness. We just get to see a different side of her. I genuinely got a little teary-eyed at the end. Here's the truth. Alabama might be the strongest role in this movie. And she does it all in cheetah print. Overall, I'm gonna have to give character development a 9 out of 10. Here are my final thoughts. True romance works because it believes in its characters, especially Alabama. She's happy, she's go-lucky, but she's also layered. I think the balance is what makes this movie stick. It's violent, romantic, messy, kind of goofy, but somehow it all still works. And honestly, any movie that can make me tear up after a hotel room shootout deserves some respect. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Zach's Movie Reviews. I'll see you guys on the flip.